Okay, WWE Universe. It's your boy, Michael Miller, here with another video talking about my all-time favorite WWE superstar, The Miz. Yes, hello, I'm awesome. Now, the reason for this video, as we all saw, and if you're anything like me, you were elated by the fact that The Miz got that briefcase away from that sandwich eating in the middle of the match, Otis. Nothing against Otis, but they had no plans for him. What was he gonna do? At the time he got it, what was he gonna cash in on Drew and get his head kicked off? Or cash in on Braun and get slammed to oblivion? Just saying. And as time progressed, the people who held the titles became less and less likely to be people that Otis could cash in on. Not so with The Miz. Alright, so the reason for this video is because I'm thinking to myself, there is any number of ways that they could book this. The first and most important thing is they have to stop jobbing The Miz out to everybody. Because he works as a heel, but he works as a heel who is trying to better himself and prove that he's better than everyone thinks he is. That was pretty much his story arc in 2010. He was fighting to prove he's not just some reality show guy, and he proved himself, became the US champion, won Money in the Bank, had some pretty decent matches with Cena, eventually cashed in on Randy Orton, and even countered an RKO to beat him. Something not many wrestlers can say they've done. So to have him get the Money in the Bank and then the very next night get his head kicked clean off by Drew McIntyre, that was just like, why? Who does that serve? Does Drew need to beat Miz? No. Does Miz need to beat Drew? Not really, but seeing him get destroyed by Drew doesn't do anything but make his character look weaker as well. Now, if they want to book it properly in a way that sets up well for WrestleMania, or even no, they could have him lose the belt again by Royal Rumble if they wanted to. He doesn't have to be a long reign. It would still make him a two-time champion. What they could do is they pretty much wrote this scenario themselves. All they have to do is let The Fiend do the crazy stuff that he does to Randy Orton, catch him with the mandible claw in the middle of the ring, leave him laid out, then, or even have Drew McIntyre come in, Claymore to Randy Orton. Since he's pretty much determined he's going to keep coming at him until he gets the WWE Championship back. So boom, that gets done. Randy Orton's laid out, prone, defenseless. Here comes The Miz, contract, pin, new WWE champion. It's so obvious it writes itself, and I don't see why they would hesitate to pull the trigger on that. I hear that they're planning on doing something where they're saving the WWE Championship for a match against Edge at Mania. I love Edge, but He's at a point in his career where he does not need the WWE Championship for his legacy. The Miz could desperately use a second run to legitimize his spot as a main event guy. And honestly, what I could see happening if they decide to go that route is perhaps Randy Orton would fight Edge at WrestleMania and lose the WWE Championship to Edge, who was then battered, bruised, and then at the moment of victory, happy ending WrestleMania, the Miz's music hits, I came to play! And then all of a sudden we get a cash-in moment. And how fitting that it's a cash-in on the ultimate opportunist. Like, this stuff is just brilliant, and it writes itself. It's a main event WrestleMania that people will definitely watch. Edge and Orton. An ending that fulfills Miz's need to cash in the money in the bank. Doesn't set him up to go after Orton and lose, and doesn't set him up to go after Reigns and lose. The only other thing that I could think of that could work for this is that there's no law that says he has to cash in on a world title. It would be a waste not to, but if he really wanted to, he could cash in on Sami Zayn or whoever beats Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title and cement his place as tied with Chris Jericho as most Intercontinental Championship runs, and then have it long enough to have the longest combined days as Intercontinental Champion, therefore making him statistically the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, which I've already been saying for some time. It's one thing to just be the second longest reigning, but he's the second longest and the second most times. So you put them together, he's pound for pound the all-around average best Intercontinental Champion, statistically. But that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on The Miz? How should the WWE be booking him to properly take advantage and maximize his use of the Money in the Bank briefcase? If you like the video, share, subscribe, slap it with a like, and comments below, please. This is Michael Miller, signing off.